Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where I do this nearly daily. I don't know. I might have to change the name of that daily live stream and the group card draw information. Today is Friday. Can you believe it? This week went by really fast, and it Friday, March 1st. We're into March. Yay! Well, hopefully spring is just around the corner. Here in Toma, Wisconsin, where I live, which is about an hour east of the Mississippi, it's actually kind of a mild day. I think it's like 26 or 27 degrees. Now, I know that's still not warm, but it's warmer than what it has been. And as you can see, I'm still producing and having live streams from the meditation room. I haven't made it quite back up to the Star Nations Academy in the studio up there yet. I'm hoping to get that done this weekend. Crossing your fingers for me that the weather is going to cooperate and let me get that done. Right? Yeah, it looks like Stephanie's been busy. Stephanie is doing all those nice posts for us for Star Nations. Everything that we have going, that's offering, the magazine, the classes, the other shows. Yeah. Except I don't think she's got the other shows listed because we don't have the information on that for next week yet. Not yet, anyway. All right, before we get going too far down the road, I'm going to like and share the live stream, and I invite you to do the same, please, whether you're watching live or if you're watching through the video, okay? And I need to get to our page. All right, before I get going too far. Started talking too much and then I forget. All right, so I'm going to write a post to my news feed, and just to make sure that my friends know that I am live streaming. And to please join me. There we go. Get that posted. There. Yeah, and thank you all, everybody, for doing the shares. You know, I like to say that it's a light worker and energy worker civic duty. If you have, if you know of a video, a live stream show, a post that's helpful to others, to be able to share it, right? And in our case, sharing our live stream shows like this helps us to be in the news feed a little bit more often. And you know how much information comes through just Facebook alone, that it's easy for a post to get buried soon after it's been posted. There's just so much information coming in. And so whenever we can share something that we feel is maybe someone else might enjoy or might find helpful, it's a service, I think. Yeah. All right. I'm going to check out the chat and make sure I didn't miss anybody coming in. I'm going to scroll a bit. Oh, Stephanie's saying working off my phone for a moment. Oh, still doing the internet thing, huh? Okay. Rochelle saying, hello, have good news. Went to the vascular surgeon today and she told me I am free of any blood clots in my kidneys. Well, that's great news. And I'm off Coumadin, no more blood work. Yay, good for you, Rochelle. Good for you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that when you do that. Yay, that's good news, Rochelle. I did get your phone message by your text, I think it was, by the way. I did get that. It's just I've been so busy the last couple of days. Do you ever have those times when your day is so busy that you feel like you've had 2 days in one? Like the morning is one day and the afternoon is another. I've had 3 days like that back to back. And I have to say, you know, it at first it's kind of disconcerting, discombobulating. It's like, what day is it? What's the date? That kind of stuff. And then I get to a point where, well, that stuff doesn't really matter. I'm where I'm supposed to be and with whom I'm supposed to be with, and it's all good, right? So, for instance, today, my morning was quite busy, and then I had a very long call with Orchard Franklin. Just talking with her is joyful to begin with, because there's so many different things we talk about. But today's call was all about her upcoming book, and possibly other items as well through Star Nations. And so, yeah, very exciting stuff. All the preliminary stuff for an upcoming book, probably sometime in the fall. We're shooting for September. Yeah, and I get to meet with the other soon to be author with us soon. I think that's like in another week or so, and that is Madonna De Palo. And she is going to be the author of a new book called The Sound Weavers, and it's all about whales and dolphins, and it's a children's book. And we're currently working on that one. So it's good stuff, but it takes time. It takes a little time, and that's why I had to skip yesterday for the live stream. Is because I couldn't be in a couple places all at the same time. I haven't learned how to bilocate yet. It was just a very busy day between all of the shows, and had I had my afternoon show, I would have produced 4 shows and assisted with one. So, and I'm a little bit behind on my work on the magazine. So I took the yesterday to work on the magazine rather than to have the live stream. So, but I missed you guys. I did. I looked at the time and I felt I could be there. Yeah. Oh, you listen to the mystery school? I think that's the one I saw you in, Rochelle. Yeah, it was. The kind of information that we talked about is different. It would be a different conversation if I had it with Orchard. Orchard and I probably would have been talking a lot more about the heart and intuition and that kind of stuff when it comes to the earth and the sun. But being with Carl and having a one-on-one with him, it was more along the mental realm, which is okay. It's good because a lot of scientific stuff came out of it, and a lot of connecting dots. So yeah, I agree with you, Rochelle. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it, and I really did enjoy Carl's meditation. I've experienced them before, but it's been a while. So it was kind of nice to take part in the meditation that he did for us. If you didn't get a chance to catch that show, it was all about the symbiotic relationship between Grandmother Earth and the central sun. Not just our own sun in our galaxy, but also the other suns that lead to the central sun. Yeah, it's fascinating information. Yeah, it was one of those conversations that you go, wow. When you piece it together like that, or when you see how one thing relates to the other, it's like, holy smokes. So, let's see what else. There was something else I was going to share with you guys, and now I don't remember what that was. Don't remember what it was. Maybe it'll come back to me before the end of the show, or at 2:00 in the morning. Don't you hate that? I've had that happen on more than one occasion. Hey, Julie Shumway Hill just popped in. Hello, Julie. Good to have you here. Yeah, we continue using the Druid Animal Oracle deck by Stephanie and Philip Cargome, illustrated by Bill Worthington. And they write from the perspective of the UK, because they're out of England. And so even with the Druid aspect of it, right? I'm learning a lot. I don't know about you guys, but using this deck, I'm learning a lot about Celtics and some of the stories that are coming out of Ireland and Wales and Scotland and of course the UK, right? Yeah, even learning a little bit of Gaelic, and I'm pronouncing the names for animals. Keeps me on my toes. All right. Let's see. Shoot. Okay. We have 2 cards today. But before I get into today's cards, I wanted to show you what yesterday's card was. Yesterday's card was the Blackbird. And I did put a little information in the post where I told you I wasn't going to have a live stream yesterday about the Blackbird. That, maybe, hopefully he'll come back and visit again, because it would have been, I think, a really interesting conversation, because he's all about the gateway between 2 worlds. It says, urging us to follow the spiritual path or become more self-aware. And it reminds me a bit about what Carl said last night in the show. He was saying that in many ways he feels and understands that he's got a foot in 2 different worlds. He's walking in 2 worlds. He's walking in the physical world, but he spends a great deal of time in the 4th and 5th dimension. And and how do you know that you're doing that? Well, some of that has to do with having more than one day in one day, having multiple days in one day, and spending time in meditation and or in the frequency of love. And so when he mentioned that last night, it made me think of this card that I drew yesterday morning, just to see what the energy was like. That was important for us to know about. And Blackbird showed up. That was the first time we had Blackbird. Oh, excuse me, I almost yawned. I am a bit tired. It's those late nights. All right, so this is the card that came today. We've had this card before, right? And that's Bull. Bull has come back to visit us. Come back to deliver a message. And the Gaelic pronunciation of Bull, I believe, is Tarbh, but let me double check. Yes, Tarbh. And it's a very earthy, connected to the earth energy, don't you think? And this is the card where we talked about the last time, is having, he's facing away from us. And so that we're seeing his back, and that he's looking over his left shoulder, so we can only see like one of his eyes, right? And it's kind of like, what was the water dragon we had the other day too? Had only one eye, remember? Yeah. Yum. Tea. Rochelle, what is Rochelle saying? Love your shirt. Great color. Oh, thank you. I know. It's one of my favorite shirts. I wish it was a V-neck, though. V-necks are much more comfortable. This is one of my Potawatomi shirts. I'll stand up and show it to you. I like the design on it. Yeah. It's one of my favorite ones. It's a Potawatomi shirt. I got it the last time I was at the Gathering. And the Gathering is an annual coming together of the 9 bands that comprise the Potawatomi Nation. And and I can't remember where it is this year. I think it's I don't know if it's in Michigan or not. I don't think it's down in Kansas. I'd have to double check. It could be in Michigan this year, in one of the bands in Michigan. Yeah, I want to say Huron, but I could be wrong. I'd have to double check. Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliment, though, Rochelle. Thank you so much. All right, so the bull, Tarbh is back. And the words associated with Tarbh is wealth, potency, and benevolence. Yeah. And this card, it's very interesting, right? Because we have the cranes flying up in the sky. We have the bull with his back to us, looking at us with one eye, his left eye. Yeah. We can see that at least two of his feet are on the ground. Right? We have a rattle and a horn on the ground, and it looks like he's walking on a path. Yeah. And I just want to refresh our memory about what the bull stands for in this deck. Okay. And so it says that the card shows a bull roaring, with three cranes circling the air above, and with the leaves of the willow tree in the foreground. Goes on to say that the cranes in the card remind us that although the bull is an animal representing the earth, he is also linked with the sky and the heavens. Says that Tarbh can bring you the opportunity for a rich, abundant life. The bull is a symbol of wealth, and as such, it is inauspicious to draw this card when considering financial matters. Interesting. The bull represents fertility, potency, abundance, prosperity, and these things can sometimes take a while to achieve. And if I remember the conversation, when we were talking about bull, we were talking about the cattle at one point, and how in a UK kind of sense that the bull, cattle in general, can be seen very much like here in the United States for indigenous people. And the Great Plains, it would have been the buffalo, right? Because the buffalo gave everything to the people: housing, clothes, food. It was a sign. It is a sign of abundance. Okay, and here in east of the Mississippi, the woodland, we could equate the white-tailed deer to that. And so, if we're looking at it from that point of view, I can understand why they would have the words such as abundance and prosperity associated with the bull, because the bull represented everything: food, shelter, clothing. It provided a lot to people. And with that connection to the earth, right? Now, I didn't receive the card in the reverse, but I shared this, a couple of times, is that there's some information in the writing about the reverse that could be helpful, and it seems to be. And so this is what kind of jumped out at me if reading about it, if the card had been drawn in reverse. It says, a bull's power when harnessed or channeled can be awesome, but when a bull is maddened, he can become dangerous. So when he's angry, right, he can be dangerous. You may need to attend to the way in which you react under provocation, and the way in which you might be tempted to use your personal power or power over others. Right? So to be mindful in how we react under provocation, and to not use our personal power to influence others. In other words, taking away their free will, Yeah. Here's another one that I thought was interesting. It said the Scottish tradition to dream of a bull was said to be the sign of help about to arrive. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have ever dreamt about bull at all, but that means that there's assistance arriving, according to the Scottish legend. But one of the things I wanted to talk about and share about is that the second card that came, because since we had the bull card before, I wanted to know from Spirit, what are we looking at here? Are we looking at more information about bull in general, or are we going deeper? What are we doing with this card? Why is bull coming back to visit us? And this is the card that came. Crane. Yeah. So he's got the moon in the background there. Crane. And in the background, the rocks in the background, that's a dolmen, or it's also about burial sites. And it looks like maybe even it's a cave. Kind of looks that way, doesn't it? Of course, there's etchings on the stones, on the stone people, and that we have water, about emotion, flowers, and that the crane is looking down into the water, standing on one leg. Yeah, he's probably fishing, right? Looking for it. Yeah. Yeah, Rochelle, the bull. Yeah. And there's a reason why he was drawn in this way. You're right about the testicles. It's about that potency, the virility, the fertility, which goes along with the abundance and the prosperity. Those things go hand in hand. Yeah. And Valerie's here. Hello, Valerie. Good to have you here. All right. So with the crane, we haven't had crane yet. Although crane, I got to make sure my page is marked here. I'm going to show the two cards together. Here we go. Show the two cards together. Because we have the cranes flying up in the sky in front of the bull. And now we have crane supporting the information or the message coming about bull for us today. And that the crane is standing in water, possibly fishing. So seeing these two cards together, one supporting the other, it's by no mistake, right, that the crane, the second card came, and we have crane flying up in the corner up there. And so what do we know about crane? That they're a sign of longevity. Cranes mate for life. They have a very fascinating, the males have this, they dance when they're looking for their mate, when they're trying to attract their mate. It's a fertility dance, right? And here in Wisconsin, we have the International Crane Foundation, which is from here, it's probably about an hour or so south of us. We lived quite close to it when we lived in Poynette. It was only like a 30-minute drive or something like that, 20-minute. And they have many cranes there, and you can hear them calling, and there was a point where there was a female crane that they were hoping that they were be able to get her together with one of the male cranes, and that they would form a union, right? And that knowing that they'd be mated for life, the female crane was a little reluctant, and the male crane, they actually had him dancing, on film, right? They videotaped it, and prior to that, some of the male staff there were they were experimenting, right, in that dance, that it would does the dance actually prepare the female um, to have an egg, right? And then there's also the fertilization of the egg. But yeah, International Crane Foundation. We used to be a member of that. I'd go and volunteer. So they have mating pairs of cranes from all over the world there. It's fascinating to see them. All right, so this is what Philip has to say about crane. Crane is associated with the words secret knowledge, patience, and longevity. Sacred knowledge, patience, and longevity. The card shows a crane fishing in a pool. Its legs are crossed to show the Oum letter, M-U-I-N-N, Muin, I guess, and it gazes into the water patiently, waiting for sight of a fish. Behind the pool is a cave entrance to the underworld, and in the evening sky, the full moon is rising. In the foreground grow bitter vetch, also known as caramel from Corr, and bloody cranesbill. Now, crane, the word for crane in Gaelic is Corr, C-O-O-R. Double check the pronunciation. Here we go. Crane. Yeah, it's pronounced Corr. And so we have secret knowledge, patience, and longevity. And so in the background, there is that cave. And what's interesting about the crane is it talks about the other world, the underworld. Okay, so here, the Philip goes on to say that crane, the Corr brings the qualities of patience and perseverance. Patience and perseverance. The crane. The crane. The crane will stand for hours, peering into the water until the time is right for it to dart and get its prey. Combined with the ability to be patient, and the crane conveys the capacity to be focused and to be able to concentrate without distraction. It brings an ability to guide others into the underworld. I'm going to say that again. It brings an ability to guide others into the underworld, as well as conveying an ability to work in the underground. The crane symbolizes the arcane science or secret knowledge, which in the Druid tradition is represented by the Oum script, the tree language of Druidry. In its widest sense, learning this language involves learning to read the book of nature. So the crane is also a guide to the underworld, and to be able to work in the underworld. And what is the underworld, right? What is that? In the way that we might phrase that would be on the other side of the veil, right? It would be where when you cross over, when you walk on as spirit, the other world, the other world. So to get the Crane card as a second card to support the first one, the first card, and Crane shows up in that first card, and it shows up in the sky, 3 of them. Mother, Maiden, Crone? Possibly. The power of 3, right? It's a very Celtic special number 3, for that reason, for Mother, Maiden, Crone. Yeah, Rochelle's saying very eloquent. Yeah, the crane, definitely. And she has blue heron in her river. Remind me again, Rochelle, how long have you lived along that river? Was it 20 years? If I remember right, you said it was 20 years. Okay, so the crane, if it had been drawn in the reverse, here's some information. Spending too much time alone can create feelings of isolation and separation. So even though the crane can be very patient and persevere, focused, no distractions, that if we do that consistently in our life, that we're actually separating ourselves from other people, from other things in our world. And so he goes on to say that the shadow side of the crane is manifested as harshness, meanness, and a nagging, complaining disposition. It says that if you find these qualities showing sometimes in your behavior, see if you can experience the deeper aspects of crane, in which it becomes an animal of the goddess as crone or as wise woman. I think that's really important. That if you have the shadow side of crane, if you're experiencing that, even just a little bit, is to be able to kind of look at it from the other direction too, right? Another perspective of that is to shift that might be a lower vibration. The shadow side is not to ignore it, is to acknowledge it, but to shift your perception with it, right? So that you're looking at it using the positive qualities of it. And that they're saying that in the positive qualities, that the crane represents the goddess as crone or wise woman. Crone or wise woman. He goes on to say about the wise woman that the crane is a bird of old age and hence longevity, and is also a psychopomp. Now that might be a new word for some people, right? Psychopomp. That's a guide in the underworld after death. He shares that in a Chinese perspective, belief is that the soul is being guided. Let's see, it says the soul of the dead was represented as riding on the crane's back to the western heaven. In the Celtic and Druid tradition, the soul would be taken to the west, an island in the west. So honestly, this is what I'm getting from this is that the first card, the bull, is connected to the earth, strongly connected to the earth. And the use of the 3 cranes that are flying is to also add in that that understanding or that feeling of of heaven, of the sky. So we have to kind of bring these two together, because we have the three cranes flying and then we got the crane, right? And so when I was feeling about this and trying to say, okay, so what are you trying to say to us here? Oh my goodness, Dawn Nelson is here too. Hello, Dawn. Good to have you here. So we have the three cranes in the bull card that's flying, and he's actually heading toward them down the path. They're flying above, and he's heading down that path toward them. And so he's bellowing in this card. It's interesting seeing that the crane is the guide to the soul, taking it to the underworld or the other world. Isn't it? And the bull is going toward them with his back to us. And that the crane actually is the keeper of the secret mysteries, right? Lost my page. It was 20. Well, shoot. I have to check the page again. Crane. 58. The words that were associated with was secret knowledge, patience, and longevity. So I do believe that Spirit is telling us is that we're solidly connected to the earth. We're in physical form. And the bull represents that, because there's such a strong symbol of the earth, or life on the earth, I should say. The bull brings us prosperity and abundance, patience. Yeah. And looks like he's looking toward or moving toward those cranes. And so those cranes are helping to balance out all that earthly connection and bringing him closer to adding in or including spirit, right? Yeah. And so I would like to think that the crane, the second card, is actually here in support of the first one, but also it's in support of us as we're heading down that path. And to actually call on both energies. That if we recognize either one of them or both of them, is that we are searching for, looking for, or possibly reclaiming our power. Our gifts. It's fascinating stuff. Fascinating. The crane has a capacity to be focused and be able to concentrate without distraction. It brings an ability to guide others to the underworld. It's the symbol of the arcane science or the secret knowledge. So does that mean that many of us have that intention? Right? And that's to gain wisdom, that's to gain especially when we're involved in mystery schools, right? When we're involved in mystery schools, that's what we're doing. We're gaining that knowledge. And for many of us, we have to persevere. For many of us, we have to stay the course, right? See it to the end. Yeah. Patience. And I think that's what Bull is bringing to us, is that feeling, or that, not the feeling, but the knowledge, that secret knowledge, which is in the Crane card, that cave in the back. It's the door to the other world. Possible that it's also letting us know that there's a how do I phrase this? We're heading down that path as a being that's awake. You know, that we know that we have a soul contract that we're here to carry out. And you could also say that the bull is that part of us that is walking that earthly path, and that we're looking for balance in that spiritual knowledge, right? Because let's face it, it's so much nicer to spend all our time, or most of our time, in connecting with the divine, whether it's through meditation, or whether it's reading material or something like that. That sometimes maybe we spend too much time there and not enough paying attention to what's going on in the physical world. I know some of us really don't want to know, do we? Or spend much time on that. Yeah. But I think that this card draw is that we didn't really cover the cranes up here. Whoops, up here. In the card bull, the bull card. We mentioned it, but we didn't talk about it. Yeah. All I can see is holy smokes. Rochelle is saying the crane can fly and be with Grandfather Sky, a balance of heaven and earth. Exactly. And I believe that's our message, is to balance out our earthly life and our spiritual life, right? That we need both. Yeah, Valerie's agreeing. Yeah. I want to show the crane one again, because the stones by the cave, I can get my camera to focus. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yep. But there's stone etchings, right? They're energy swirls. Kind of reminds me of Newgrange. That cave. And I think that's one of the reasons why for me, when I first looked at the card, it looked like a cairn or a dolmen, which is, they're both burial places. And so really it's that gateway to the great secret. I think that's what they called it for the crane, the great secret. Oh, secret knowledge. That's it. Secret knowledge. And what about this? Is that at a soul level, we already have access to the secret knowledge, because our soul already knows all that information. It's this conscious part of us that's in the physical world that we don't have that memory sometimes, right? And many of us are working on remembering that that secret knowledge that's there for all of us, but we each apply it in possibly a different way because we're all experiencing this life just a bit differently, right? Yeah, I think that's what this is about. That's why Bull came back to visit. He says, "Wait a minute, that was a good discussion last time, but let's talk a little bit more about the cranes that I'm looking at, that I'm heading toward down this path." And that the energy of Bull, the medicine of Bull, can help us to achieve what Crane is bringing to us, right? Yeah. And because of what Bull represents, he represents abundance, prosperity, for creation, the fertility and the potency, right? That when we remember the secret knowledge that our life is abundant, we could be prosperous too, right? Because abundancy isn't necessarily financial wealth, but it can be. And the bull definitely represents that as well. But it's that abundancy, or if you want to call it that richness, has many different meanings. It's not just financial. It's just not in the physical. But we have this richness in our spiritual life, in our emotional life, and also in our mental life, right? Yeah. I think that's pretty good. What do you guys think? And it's one of the good reasons why we keep asking you guys, who grounded today? Who remembered to ground? To do their grounding? Because the bull is certainly representing being grounded. It's very connected to the earth. In order to regain that memory of the secret knowledge, that we should be grounded to the earth plane, right? It'd be making it a little bit easier. Might be an easier journey in that remembering. Yeah, I think so. Hey, Kimberly's here. She says, "Good message." It's good to have you here, Kimberly. And Valerie's saying, "Awesome." It is. Oh, yay for you, Rochelle. She says about the grounding. Good for you, Rochelle. Thank you for doing that. Yeah, I think that's what that's about. It feels right. It feels right to me. Just checking in with my peeps, my spiritual team. Is there anything else? Okay. So does anybody in the live chat have crane as a power animal or a totem? Yay. Good for you, Kimberly. She did too. Great. And so did Julie. Yay. You guys are good. Remembering to do that. Yeah. I certainly had to be grounded today, working on publishing stuff. The early stages of it today for Orchard's book. Yeah, I like this message. I really do. And with crane medicine, a lot of people equate it to Eastern belief systems. China, Taiwan, Mongolian, all those belief systems that are east of us, right? China. Japan, and they certainly do revere the crane a great deal because it's also about longevity. Yeah, and isn't our soul is immortal? That's quite a bit of longevity there. If you're immortal, I like the message. I do. Yay! Yay, yay, yay. Stephanie grounded today, and so did Julie. Excellent. Thank you, ladies, for doing that. Don't you feel better too? When you're grounded. Have you ever done this? Have you ever felt like you're turning around in circles, and sometimes you are physically doing that? It's almost like you're not quite in your body, and maybe you have a lot to get done, and you're trying to do so many things all at the same time. Is that you catch yourself feeling like you're walking in circles, or maybe you're walking in circles, trying to get. Whenever I used to do that, I knew I wasn't grounded because I couldn't keep anything straight in my head. It's like it took me twice as long to do something because I just couldn't keep it straight. Having to go back and redo something, or what's that old? There's an old meme about walking into a different room in your house, and when you get there, you forget why you went there. It's like, what did I come in here for again? Yeah, those in the old days when I, being ungrounded. Yeah. Those are the days I used to walk into open doors too. When you have a door that's kind of ajar, it's not completely open. And a lot of times I'd run into those. Why? Because I wasn't in my body. My mind was someplace in the future or someplace in the past, and wasn't completely in my body. God, of all people, you don't want to do that in front of his brothers. I tell you what, I got teased more often about walking into doors that were just kind of not quite open and not quite closed. Talk about memory. That having 4 brothers, actually only 3 of them were home at the time, and did that in front of them. It's like you never quite live it down. Making fun of me. Alrighty then. I think we got it, guys. The information that Spirit brought to us today with these 2 cards. Yeah, heading down that path toward those cranes flying. Remembering or in search of that memory, of that secret knowledge at the soul level. Bringing it into our physical life, grounding it to the physical realm called our life. Yeah. Good stuff. I think we got it. We only have a couple minutes left before the top of the hour. Working on the Star Nations magazine March issue. I think you guys are going to enjoy some of the articles that are coming together in this one. It's like, raised my eyebrows and said, I didn't think of it about that in that way. Wait till you read Patty Heradia's article. She's continuing her series on, what's weight gain about anyway? I think that's the name of her series. And she's talking all about the liver, right? And yeah, she's sharing about how we can stop. I didn't do nothing. And Suri turned herself on. Yeah, I think you guys are going to enjoy Patty Heredia's article because it literally tells us how to gently prepare our bodies for a liver cleanse. I know, it's good stuff. Good stuff. So I don't have any information about the shows for next week yet. That should be coming in. Maybe they're sitting in my inbox right now. I don't know. But next week we have. Let me take a look at the calendar. Make sure I have a number of Tuesdays. Okay. So next week we start off with Tuesday the 5th, March 5th, and that is Polly Jo LeBay show. Chakra sessions at noon Eastern time. And then my evening show, my weekly show, Communications from Home. And I have, my guest. I do know. My guest is Karen Armstrong. That's her last name, Karen. Karen and I go kind of way back. And she is a modern day shaman, and she uses her drum. And the title of our show is My Drum, My Ancestors. And so she is going to be bringing to us some information about Celtic and Irish ancestry in the drum. Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Interesting stuff. And then on Wednesday is Polly Jo's back with Soul Connections at 7 p.m. And I believe that's it for next week. It's a light week compared to this past week. You guys, I don't know. We had a lot of shows this past week. That's for sure. And so join us for those shows this coming week. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern for the daily live stream show and the discussion around the card of the day, right? The oracle card. So, Bama Mina, that means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.